a second left.
You are now tuned into the greatest sports show on the planet. That's Prince, and he's Barty. And you're now listening to Prince and Barty. Buckle up.
Welcome back to Prince and Barty, episode 116. What's going on, man?
We here, baby. I'm ready to talk, man. Let's get it popping.
Man, I want to start off with Anthony Edwards, man. Kid's a beast. You know, he's cut from that cloth we love, from that Jordan, that Kobe, that D-Wade, and that Braun cloth, man. You know, he gets it done on both ends of the floor. I know before we were critical saying he's selling wolf tickets. He talking to Luka. Hey, man, he's one of them ones, man. You know, he's backing it up with his play. And I think what impresses me most about Ant is that he always brings something new to his game. You know, before he couldn't really shoot the three ball that well, came back with a three ball. You know, before he was a capable defender, now he's an elite defender, right? So he's been struggling throughout the playoffs, but whether it's 15 rebounds, whether he's trying to lock down the opposing player, he's always bringing something different. And I'm going to be honest with you, man, out of these young players, you know, obviously Tatum got his ring. You know, there's SGA, there's Halliburton, there's these other guys, man. But I think Anthony Edwards has the will and the skill to get a ring before all of those guys, even before Luka. You know, I seen a crazy stat with Luka that from 2018, hold on, let me get this right, man. Let me just get this right. From 2018 to 2024, Luka has 71 dunks. From 2024 to 2025, Luka got one dunk. That may seem like a crazy stat, but like it's kind of going back to what we talked about with Luka with the effort, where effort is a real thing, man. And that's what separates the big three, the Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron from a lot of people. And I'll put D-Wade in there, is the effort. You know, I was there in 2006 when D-Wade won that ring. He was working harder than anybody. He was working harder than the janitor in the arena, diving after loose balls. So I look at Ant the same way. He's going to do whatever it takes for his team to win and give them an advantage. So talk to us about Anthony Edwards and his growth as a ball player.
Ant is probably one of the best players in the league. The thing that's crazy about him is his knowledge, the student. He's a student of the game. He may not pay homage to the old heads, but he pays homage to LeBron, to Steph, to KD, and these are guys that came before him. And so he's been in improving his game. He wants a ring. And then the thing that's crazy with him, too, is what he has around him. The capable defenders is what makes his job a little bit more easier. The Jaden Daniels, the Alexanders, the Gobert. I mean, having Rudy Gobert is an element as far as blocking shots. But as far as leading the team on offense and being a better three-point shooter, you have to give him his flowers. He's doing his thing. He's the reason why Finch has a coaching job. Because if there was no Ant, Finch should be looking for a job.
Nah, that's a great point, man. But let's talk Jason Tatum, man. Jason Tatum preserved his legacy, had a great game in the Garden. You know, I said the Knicks would win 2 games. You know, I didn't think they were going to take 2 in Boston. You know, that was a gutsy performance. But just being honest, man, both of those games, well, all 3 of these games now, by the time we record this, Boston had a 20-point lead in all of them. You know, they just choked it away. I would say it's more Boston than the play of the Knicks. Now, we knew that once the Knicks acquired Miles Bridges, you know, OG Anunoby, there are some great perimeter defenders. They're elite defenders, you know, so they're earning their check. You know, they gave up a lot to get Bridges, and Bridges is answering the call. But offensively, Bridges goes up and down. You know, as much as you need the defense, Jalen Brunson's 6'2", and that's they giving him them 2 inches, man. He probably 6 foot. But as a person who loves ball, man, it's tough watching Jalen Brunson have to do it all. And Boston is almost like, man, y'all can't hang with us, man. You know, if Jason Tatum decides that he wants the ball, we can't do nothing about it. You know, he just has to have that killer mentality. You know, Brown already said, we're not shooting threes like that no more. He said, I'm one of the best drivers in the league. I'm going to go to the rim. And we said that last game, bro, you missing all them threes, go to the cup, get fouled, slow the game down. So when you look at the Boston Knicks series, is Boston going to just take control, or do the Knicks have any fight left in them?
When the series was picked, everybody was like Celtics in 5. And then when the Knicks won the first 2 games, everybody was like, this is crazy. But we all know it was an aberration. When have the Celtics scored 90 and the points that they scored? They were under 100, I think, in both the first 2 games. Once they got over 100, they blew them out. And then even with Tatum, we talking about Tatum showed out. Tatum didn't do that much. It was really a team effort.
Right.
Boston is not a superstar-led team. You know who Boston reminds me of? The Detroit Pistons. Any night somebody can give it to you. Could be Chauncey, could be Rip, could be Tayshaun, could be Rasheed. But any night somebody would give it to you. And they had a decent bench. Now you look at the Knicks. The Knicks don't have a bench. So the Knicks need all 5 of their starters to show out. And then when we look at that game, Cat didn't have a big game. Now, if the Knicks can do what the Pacers did in Game 4, which was win, then guess what? We have ourselves a different series. But it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting just to see what's gonna happen, how they're gonna maintain, how they're gonna move forward. Because when we look at the Celtics series, you know, if the Celtics win Game 4, if they still back home court, we could. A lot of people were saying they're gonna win 4 straight. I heard a lot of people say that. They said those first 2 games are aberration. Stephen A. said, just give me 2 games. You know, he's a Knicks fan. Spike Lee's excited. All these guys excited. But at the end of the day, I think the make or break game for this team is Game 4. If they lose Game 4, the Celtics will win the series. If they win Game 4, then I got the Knicks taking it maybe in 6 or 7.
All right, let's stay with Cat for a minute, man. The Cat is an interesting cat. Cat is interesting cat because sometimes even if Cat has 25, it's like a soft 25, right? It's not impactful, right?
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of the season, Cat was killing, man, breaking Patrick Ewing's double-double records and balling out, right? New York hasn't had a big like Cat probably since Pat Ewing, right? But look over to Minnesota with that trade. Look what Julius Randle's doing. He's making his impact felt. Julius Randle is balling for Minnesota, right? Where in an impactful way. Julius Randle was dominating the Lakers. Let's call it what it is. You know, it wasn't, let's not make no secret about it. Julius Randle's low-key why the Lakers lost. You know, and Gobert just closed it out. But Cat has to be impactful, man. There's some possessions where they'll come down 10 times in a row. Don't even look Cat's way. Because they know, like, he going to shoot a long 3. Because Cat doesn't like the physicality. And what is Boston like? Physicality. They're going to put Al Horford on him. Al Horford, our age, locking Cat up. Cat should be running right past this guy, Al Horford, man. Shouldn't even be no resistance at all. But I think if Cat had a killer mentality and played strong and stood 10 toes in the paint, I think they could easily beat the Celtics. I think Cat is the difference maker for the Knicks, but it's Cat. You know what I mean? He's gonna get these ticky-tack fouls. You know, he's gonna have 3 fouls in the first quarter and be unplayable. So it's interesting, man. And mark my words, if or when the Knicks lose, they're gonna be talking trash about Cat. The New York Post. If they're gonna be all on Cat. So,
you know, the crazy part, you can't even blame Cat, and I'm gonna tell you why you can't. Cat has the Knicks in a series with the Celtics about to at least it's 2-1, you know. And then you look at Tibbs. Tibbs been doing this the whole time. No bench. Like, one thing I don't understand, man, the world has a double standard when it comes to certain things. They allow some coaches to get away with certain things and some players to get away with certain things. And it's just not fair. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were talking about how somebody played in the fourth quarter, and they was like, well, they don't hold LeBron to the same standard as they hold this player. And I know we're going to talk about this player soon because it's one of the games we're going to talk about. But I think that we can't put Cat on that standard only because when you look at the Knicks, what were the Knicks doing last year? They did make it to the second round versus the Pacers, and injuries caused them to lose. Now this year, they're playing the champs. They were up 2-0 on the champs. If we play more bench players, if we play more players and fix our rotation, like we said by J.J. Redick, we could be up 3-0 right now. But the coach always wants to do things his way. So I can't put the blame or the onus on Cat. I have to put the onus on Tibbs. This is his MO. I know we want to say about Cat, but even now, when Cat left Minnesota, what was the first thing me and you were saying? We was like, I don't know if they're going to win it with Julius Randle. Ant has stepped it up and done what he's supposed to do. So we give him his love. But Cat had these cats beating Joker. He was D'ing up Joker the same way OKC playing the Joker. That's how he was playing the Joker last year, and the Joker got eliminated. Now he's playing against the Celtics. Just like we want to give Ant the love for beating LeBron, Durant, and Luka, we got to give Cat some of that same love. He beat the Joker. Joker was his contemporary. He's a big. And now he's going up against the Celtics, and he's 2-0. So I agree to an extent, but I think I would give him some bail money this go around just because they're up 2-0. And in the history of the Celtics, as this team, the only team that I remember ever giving them fits like that was LeBron's Cleveland teams. Other than that, these Celtics run through everybody in the East, or the Miami Heat, of course. The Miami Heat will give them a run for their money. But other than that, this is the first time we've seen somebody with Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns give the Celtics, push them to the brink of close to elimination.
Let me ask you this, though. No, I agree. Well, you're the Cat president of the fan club, so Cat, it's on you. Anything Cat do, you got to answer for him now. So,
okay.
I think for me, there's nobody, like, it's what we say about LeBron, go to the hole, bro. Ain't nobody your size down there. So it's true. So it's more of that for Cat. I'm not looking for Cat to be Wilt Chamberlain, but bro, there's nobody your height down there. So you literally could eat. So that's why it's confusing. It's like, bro, what are you doing? They don't need you to shoot threes.
When you look at this era, though, Prince, and really when you look at this era, and even Jordan had off games, but when you look at this era, it's not the Kobe's and the Jordans era. Because Kobe and Jordan never really took nights off. They always brought their game. This era, unfortunately, and I hate to say it because I'm a Bron fan, they follow Bron. Sometimes they take nights off. And I think that game 3 was a night off for him, but game 1 and 2 wasn't in Boston. So I think game 4, he'll do what he did in game 1, 22-16. Now the question is, will the Knicks do it with him? Because, you can say what you want. A lot of people can say the same thing for Joker. He was doing his thing, but he missed a whole lot of shots. But we're going to give Joker bail money because he got a ring.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk Joker, man. I see Joker play, man, and it's a good and bad thing. Everything runs through him. So he is the system, as James Harden says, right? But when the system is struggling, who steps up? And we see Jamal Murray when he's playing without Joker. He looks pedestrian. You could go out there and be Jamal Murray. I've never seen a guy look so regular without his big brother behind him. You know the little jit who talks trash because he know his brother behind him, your killer? That's how I look at Jamal Murray. Where I think Joker's tired, bro. I think, just carrying that city, that organization for the last 5 to 7 years, man, it's wearing on him. You know what I mean? I think, like you said before, the guys like Giannis, the Dirks, and the Jokers, they might just get that one ring, man, and be good. Get that one ring, get a couple MVPs. I still think they could turn around with this series, but whether they beat OKC or not, Joker still got to be a superhero in the Western Conference Finals. And that's not going to be easy. You know what I mean? I think Minnesota, man, Minnesota and the Pacers are very similar. They provide a lot of matchup problems for people. Defensively, they can switch everything. They got a player that could shoot. Like, Halliburton is really causing a ruckus with the Cavs, man. Obviously Garland just coming back. It's just looking wild, man. Mobley's looking regular. Jared Allen, like the Cavs are looking like the old school Cavs, where Donovan Mitchell's looking like Utah playing hero ball. He's playing exceptional, but they're not at their best when Mitchell scoring 40, 50 points. Like, that's not what made them the number one team in the league all year. So when you look at this Pacers and Cavs series, what do you make of it, man? Do you think they could Dan Gilbert said they've been down 3-1 before. Yeah, but you ain't have LeBron James. You don't got LeBron James now. You don't have Kyrie Irving. So that sounds cool, but Mitchell's out with possibly ankle injury. Garland is still not all the way together. What do you think about this Pacers Cavs series as we talk? And they're 3-1 right now at time of recording.
I remember you told me this one thing, and it stuck with me. You said James Harden controls pace, LeBron James controls pace, Magic Johnson controls pace, and Luka Doncic controls pace. But there's two guys you never put on that list that needs to go on that list. Number one, the great John Stockton. He controlled pace. That's why he was able to beat Michael Jordan 2 games every time they played in the finals. You can say what you want. Pace is better than defense. Pace is better than offense. Because if you could control pace, you control the game. LeBron took the Warriors to 6 games because he controlled pace without Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Now we got a young man that understands the same thing. His name is Halliburton. He's a bad boy, man. He controls pace. So from game to game, he's going to control pace. And then they have the pieces around him. You want to know what I see in Indiana? I see Dallas Maverick Jr. And the reason why I say that is they have all the pieces except for Dirk Nowitzki. They have it's the same typical team. You got a Barea coming off the bench and Connell. Remember TJ Connell? That's your Barea. Yeah. Then you got your starting point guard and Jay Kidd and Hollenberg. Then you got your shooter and Neesmith and the other one. So when you look at all what's going on in their team, there's nothing you can do with it.
But you know what's funny about them too? Now hear me out. If they say they win, go to the Eastern Conference Finals, they can mess around and beat Boston, bro.
I agree with you. They definitely can. Because they control pace. Pace will always get you where you need to go. And a letter to the wise listeners, in anything you do, you're supposed to control pace. As a man, you control pace in your relationship. As a player, you control pace. You have to control the pace. And that's what Halliburton is doing. So I got to give him his love for that.
No, that's a great point, man. That's a great point.
It's the Barty Report.
Let's be great.
Where A-Slim Barty, a.k.a. Barty, brings you the latest news, rumors, and updates of the NFL.
Let's talk Shador, man. Shador's been, I feel like they talk about Shador every day. I've never seen, it's almost like when Bronny was drafted, a 55th pick. We never talked about a 55th pick that much. We never talked about a 5th rounder that much. But we like to attack things from different angles. When you look at Shador, right, you love the kid's confidence. As a parent, you just want to raise your kids with confidence. This world is tricky. So you can't fight their battles all the time, right? I know a lot of people are comparing Shador with Tom Brady. Tom Brady, pick 199. And as far as a Disney movie, man, that sounds great. But this ain't no Disney movie. This is real life. Here, the fact still remains is this. Tom Brady, 6'5", prototypical, big arm, cerebral as they come. Tom Brady had a great career at Michigan, but was never a superstar, right? When you're not a superstar, you prepare different. You got to have the edge on people, right? But when you've dominated, you've been in certain situations of privilege, whether you're running the offense, you're throwing the ball more than you're handing it off. I think your mentality is a little different, right? That get it out the mud mentality, right? So when you look at the Cleveland Browns, they had some drills they were doing, training camp. Shador looked good, man, throwing some dots, good bombs, but it's an uphill battle. There's a lot of NFL players saying 5th round guys don't even get reps. What do you think Shador's career? He's a young man. We don't know what his career. You got the Tony Romos, the Doug Flutys, obviously. Tom Brady. But looking at Shador and how the league changes, and we thought they thought what's my guy name that was in Trey Lance? They thought he was all world. They traded everybody for Trey Lance, and he didn't pan out. NFL has like a 2 to 3 year minimum on watching people. So the Sam Darnold story doesn't really happen often where you get a second chance. But Sam Darnold was a first round pick. If you notice, first round picks always get another shot. Baker Mayfield. I could go on and on. They always get that other look. Shador is a 5th round pick with little margin for error. What is he set up to fail, as RG3 says?
The crazy thing about the situation is this. When your father is larger than life, they want you to be larger than life. The thing that helped Steph Curry was his father wasn't larger than life. I think that people say LeBron's shadow cast a heat, but I think Deion's shadow is bigger than LeBron James. And I'm a Bron fan.
I agree.
But we're talking about the greatest corner, the greatest athlete that we've ever seen. We're talking about a guy, you know who Prime reminds me of? And people don't want to, they're going to say I'm blasphemous, but Muhammad Ali. He ran his mouth, but he backed it up.
100%.
Prime backed it up every time. Remember he said when he went to Atlanta, this is the house that I built, you know? And so you got to give him his love for that, man. Prime was that dude. And so now you got a guy that says, I'm going to be legendary. He has a guy that says, I'm going to be like Tom Brady. And it's all good and dandy, but now you've put all the pressure on you. And you play for the Brownies. You're not even a starter. So what you think you're going to have a Brady moment? Watson's going to go down and you're going to come in and lead them when you don't even have the head coaching. Kevin Stefanski ain't going to do that, or whoever the head coach is, he's not going to do that. So when you look at the situation, it's crazy because I don't think that Shador realizes not only you have the shadow, but now you're digging a grave. So now you got to climb out the shadow. Then you got to dig. You're digging yourself a grave you're not only putting yourself with Prime, you're putting yourself with Brady. So that's the reason why everybody's saying what they're saying is that, you're welcoming the pressure, but Brady never said, I'm going to be the GOAT. Brady just did it.
No, that's a great point. And it's, the story, I think us as who grew up in the 90s, Deion, he was everything to us, man. So obviously what Deion loves, we want to love too. We want his son to succeed, but it's tough because, in football, once you're labeled and graded, it takes so long. The Tony Romos, it takes so long for you to get up out of there. Dak Prescott, you damn near got to play perfect football, to get that opportunity. And let's be honest, they brought in Pickett from a trade. They brought in Joe Flacco. So these are people they want to start. Like they paid money for them to start. You know what I mean? So we're not dealing with guys who don't have NFL experience. For you to outplay, you got to essentially outplay 4 people to even get on the field. So you make some good points, man, and you're not blasphemous at all. Ali point was on point, and he's bigger than Deion. He's bigger than LeBron James as far as his shadow.
Yeah,
100%. But man, let's stay in the NFL, man. What are the Steelers doing, man? Like they fooled us like they had a plan, but they don't got a plan. And I just don't. For an organization, we look at organizations like the Giants at what point, right? We looked at, obviously, the Eagles as the gold standard. Steelers were up in that category, right? With the Rooney family and how they did. The Rooney Rule came from the Steelers organization. But yet, here we are with no answers. What's going on with Mike Tomlin? Is he as smart as we thought he was? Or was he lucky with Big Ben and Antonio Brown and Ryan Clark and Jerome Bettis? Like, I'm naming Hall of Famers.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. You always tell me it's the players, it's not the coaches. The coaches do help, but we do need the players to win. And he tried Russell Wilson. He tried Mason Rudolph. He's tried all different types of quarterbacks. You can't win in this league without a quarterback. I mean, look at the teams that keep making it to the Final Four. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, the Eagles. Even the 49ers, we can say what we want about Purdy, but he's a decent enough quarterback to get you there. But they don't have enough. They don't have the skill positions. Then they trade away pieces to the Dallas Cowboys. You trade away your receiver because he's disgruntled. He's not the Pittsburgh way. You think you are Bill Belichick, but bro, you don't have 5 rings. You got 1. So now what are we doing? What kind of conversation are we having? Because you need more than 1 ring. Now, are you one of the winningest coaches we ever see? Have you done a lot with less? Yes, you have. But at the end of the day, something has to give. Even if you get Aaron Rodgers and make him a game manager and you run the ball more and let the defense do, just don't turn the ball over. But they need a quarterback. Until they find a quarterback, they'll be the bottom of that division.
I agree, man. Let's keep it. Let's go through some quick stories, man. Cowboys versus Eagles, NFL opener. As an Eagles fan, does the addition of George Pickens scare you at all?
Never. 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 Listen, man. There's a song that's going out, and I'm just going to say it. They took the Billie Jean song and they said, Cooper DeJean is not a safety. He's just a corner who locked down your number 1. DeJean is not DeJean is a CB1. You got Cooper DeJean. You got Quantum Obey. You got the talent that we drafted from Alabama. Philly always has good drafts. Dallas don't. I'm not sold on the Dallas Cowboys, man. I'm not sold on them. So it's going to be interesting to start the season. Is it going to be close because it's a division game? Yes. But we'll win it out. We'll get our rings. Everybody be bragging. But the biggest thing they got to show me is that they can stop Saquon. Don't be surprised Saquon gets about 125 yards on opening night.
No, I agree. I think for me, I'm looking at it from another angle. It's more pressure on Dak. And when does Dak look herky-jerky? When he has to throw. When do you got to throw? When you're down by 2-3 touchdowns, right? So now Pickens is a dude, he got his issues. He's a hell of a player. But if Pickens not getting the balls thrown to him, is he happy? CD wants his touches. So what does Dak do when it's throwing time? The defense put Dak in position to win on several occasions. It's like we said about Jalen Hurts. We love him, but when he's forced to throw, it could be 50-50. You know what I mean? So you bring in a Saquon, that's your safety blanket. Dallas Goedert, your safety blanket. So I don't know. But I will give the Cowboys credit. We always get on them for not making any moves. So it's a decent move to go get Pickens. It's risky because you're going to have to pay him, and I think I'll give the Steelers this. They know talent in terms of if they just got rid of him for, a late round draft pick, that shows something. They didn't want to pay him that $30 million, because think about it. You could have had DK and Pickens.
They had Johnson, but Johnson went to the Panthers. They had Deontay Johnson, and he went to the Panthers. So I don't know who else they have now because Deontay's not there.
I know they got DK for sure. Hold on. Let me look at who they got. They got Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, and DK Metcalf. And you give away Pickens for, I don't know, for nothing. But oh no, man. Now they talking about they might add, oh man, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is so talented.
But you know what's crazy? Now? You take Amari from Cleveland. Who is Shador throwing the ball to?
Shut up.
So now, how you gonna be legendary, Shador?
Yeah. Speaking of that, you see they said Nick Chubb, they good, they going younger. You think Nick Chubb can still be effective in this league, and who should pick him up?
Of course. Go to the G-men. The G-men need a running game anyway. You got Tracy, have 2 different running backs.
I'll take him. Not for sure. Do you think when you look at the NFL, right, with these teams, Daniels had a crazy year, do you think he's going to take a step back? Because remember, C.J. Stroud had that year, kind of took a step back this year. Is there any surprise that you think is going to happen in the NFL that a team's going to take a leap forward that we're not looking at right now? What's a slept-on team? Barty's slept-on team going into this new NFL season?
Tennessee Titans got a good running game. Tennessee Titans got a good offense. And so now they add Cam Ward. a prolific passer, a runner. So now you have a quarterback. All they ever was missing was a quarterback. And in that division with a low-tier Jacksonville, a low-tier Indianapolis, you got to give them their love. They have to be the team to take that division, That division, Houston may still be the number one in that division, but the Titans can be a wild card team.
Well, let's wrap it up, man. What have you been seeing during these NHL playoffs, man? What are you looking at?
Man, what's crazy? The Capitals are losing. All the teams that I picked are losing. The Panthers, I think they're tied 2-2, so the Panthers are still good. But when you look at these series, it can go any way. I'm not going to bet on VGK anymore. I'm going to ride with Edmonton. Edmonton's leading that series. I wouldn't be surprised if they make it back to the Stanley Cup.
Let's keep it going, man. KD and Giannis, some notable free agents this summer. Where does KD land and where does Giannis land in your prediction?
It's going to be interesting because I don't know if they have the money, but I want Giannis to end with the Lakers, and I want KD to probably go to Miami. Put him on the Heat, add a couple pieces, and then we'll have a new storyline in Miami and a new storyline in Los Angeles.
Are the Warriors and Steph Curry done? Without Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler did his thing, but it wasn't enough. Are the Warriors cooked?
That was who I was talking about. Jimmy had a LeBron James type of game. He balled out in the game, but in the fourth quarter, he choked. And you hear me say that because that's what LeBron used to do. He played so well, but then in the fourth quarter, final 8 minutes, they stopped giving the ball. He stopped being aggressive. I don't know if he got tired. I don't know when Draymond got his sixth foul that it changed the dynamics of the game. But when you look at it, they're done. They're just done. I mean, the only way they win, and I don't see Jimmy going for 40. That was their game to win. So who you think Buddy Hield is going to ball? No, that's not going to happen. So I don't think it's going to be enough. And I think whether it be Gobert or Julius Randle, somebody's going to go off for their bigs to make them win the next game, and they'll probably wrap it up in 5. I got the T-Wolves in 5.
No, I agree, man. I think that was their best chance to win for sure. Jimmy had a great game, but just wasn't enough, man. But this is episode 116, man. Thank you for checking in. We see the downloads, we see the streams. We're going to keep hitting y'all with content, man. We appreciate the love. Y'all been rocking with us for a long time. But we up out of here, man. Episode 116. Download, like, comment, share with your people, man. Greatest sports show in the world.
You already know. Greatest sports show.
Yes, sir. Episode 116. We'll see you next week. We gone.
Prince and Barty is your #1 source for all things sports. Now streaming on Spotify and iTunes. Prince and Barty will be doing live broadcast at several locations around the country. Follow and like all Prince and Barty's social media pages for exclusive details. There will be game tournaments, sport trivia, best fan contest, and cash giveaways all night. This can be your chance to win big.